All right, and go.
And go, right, we're off. Your brand is a thing, not a string. Right, before I start, there are 3 things I need to tell you about me, and you'll see why later on. I used to be in a folk punk band, that's me on the left, playing the bass, getting a bit overexcited. After that, I was a blue dog in a cartoon. I wrote the songs and I gave the voice to the dog. And now I'm doing this. It's a really good fun podcast. Some of the people who have been guests on it are actually in the room. It's really interesting just from the point of view is they share an awful lot of interesting stuff, and most of what I know today is thanks to these people and thanks to this podcast.
No singing?
I can do the song. SEO is AO, welcome to the show.
There we go, thank you.
And I embarrass my guests with that song at the start and at the end. Thank you. Your brand is an entity and it's your most valuable asset. I think we all know that. It has relationships with other entities. You need to organise your digital ecosystem. So I stole that from Elmer's slide because he shared them with me too early. I really like this idea that the brand is at the centre of all these other things around it. My overview, this is my point of view, is if we look at this as the basis of what Google is looking for, we perform our jobs much, much better. Everything we do as SEOs, or even digital marketing, in terms of Google at least and Bing as well, is understanding credibility and deliverability. Those are the only 3 things that matter. If you take something like making a video, you're looking at deliverability, making a video that is pertinent in the context the person finds themselves in terms of content. Credibility will be reviews and all that sort of stuff. And we're looking today at understanding. We're trying to get Google to understand who we are, what we do by using entities and relationships. I'll let you read that. I just couldn't be bothered saying it was too long. Me! I've been working on my personal brand set for the last 5 years. I'm like the mad scientist. I want to check how things work. I've made lots of mistakes, but I've made that brand mine. There are 250 Jason Barnards in the world. I appear to be the only one who exists if you look at that first page. How did I do it? When I started 5 years ago, I didn't know this is how I was doing it. But I built up relationships between entities to indicate to Google who I am, what I do, what I have done in the past. It knows my age, it knows my birthday. Who is Jason Barnard's sister? She's actually quite famous. She's a film director in the UK. And what I did was link my entity to my sister's entity, made it very clear to Google. Now it's very confident it knows who my sister is, or it also knows who my mother is. She's a jazz singer. So, just for information, I cheated a little bit in my own brand search because I used my family to leverage myself into that. And when we search for what is Jason Barnard's job, this is for me really interesting because what I did first is that I made music albums, and that makes me notable. So I get a place in Wikipedia. That really helped get me kicking off. But also, my music albums are on all sorts of databases all over the world. Music Brains is the one that I was using to leverage that. So I got recognised Jason Barnard, musician. Then after a while, I switched it around, and in Wikidata, I gave priority to search marketing. And in Wikipedia, I put search marketing as the first job I listed on the site. So now we can actually tell the jobs I've done. And that was when I showed the slides at the start. I am a musician, or I was a musician, I still am a musician. Screenwriter for the Blue Dog cartoon, search engine optimization today, SEO professional, and voice acting for the Blue Dog again. So as you can see, I've managed to indicate to Google that I have a current job, but I also have past jobs. So the relationships, my relationships with these jobs are past. Then we have the songs I wrote. Once again, a lot of information is out there on all the media things. This is a list of the songs. If I dig down into the songs, this is the song we saw from earlier on. It actually knows all these songs, they all have a relationship with me, and Google has understood those relationships. Dawn Anderson yesterday at breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning pointed out to me that if you do an image search, you get the ontologies that Google associates with you. That's incredibly powerful. I love this screenshot. It shows you've got Campbell and Muller there. We all know it's John Muller. If you actually click on that, it shows John Muller. If you click on Campbell, it shows Craig Campbell, and Ada Solis, exactly the same thing. I've associated myself with these entities, and Google has understood there is a relationship. If you look further down, there's actually a podcast series, and the strange brew. And the irony of all the ironies in the world is that that guy third from the right is called Jason Barnard, and he has a podcast called The Strange Brew. So me and him are now super duper mates because we have the same name and we both do podcasts. What do you need to do? You need to get in the graph. As I said earlier on, with media it's relatively easy. We have the IMDb, Music Range, Wikipedia, MySpace, fan sites, Spotify, YouTube, Google Books. Anybody who's written a book or done music or been in a film or on TV, pretty easy to get them in there. They're probably already in there because Google has already crawled all this stuff. Fan sites are incredibly powerful. IMDb, Music Range. Apple, obviously a big company, but also a media company. So you get this kind of in-depth knowledge, which is similar to the knowledge it has about me, that it probably doesn't have about your brand. And the disadvantage it has for your brand is it doesn't have IMDb and Music Brands and Wikipedia and so on and so forth. But it does get this. And it's got the products. It's understood those relationships. It's understood that Apple have these products. There is a relationship between them. And you can imagine for your brand, Google understanding who is the CEO, that relationship gives value to your brand. What are your products and its relationships it's looking for, not words. And once again, with the images, we've got the same thing, and that's a great way to check how far Google's understanding has gone. And this is proof that it's really easy with media sites. This is my old company that I sold to my ex-partner. WTPL Music, tiny record company in the north of France. We have a knowledge panel. Not very rich, but we have a knowledge panel. I actually don't work on it anymore, I just help them out because I wanted to prove a point to you. So what should you be doing? Let's get to the practical stuff. Organise your digital ecosystem. We're back to that. Tools like WordLift. WordLift aim to build for you an internal knowledge graph that gives you control of your own information by building entities and relationships between entities. Really powerful tool, really interesting guys who are behind this, really smart. The least you should be doing is using structured data on every single page, as Alma said earlier on. Schema app, you mentioned Inlinks. Dixon Jones just launched that. It's pretty powerful. You put a piece of JavaScript at the bottom of the page, it finds entities in the page, it can find the links for you within the site. It's just starting up to beta at the moment, but it looks like it's going to be brilliant. And Yoast, what's really interesting there is John Alderson turned up at Yoast and they said, what do you want to do? We just employed you, what do you want to do? And he said, this is a great job, I can just turn on to do what? And he said, schema markup. So Yoast is doing the basic schema markup behind WordPress, to the point at which Google are now not actually working on it in WordPress, and they are defining how schema markup probably will be written. If you imagine WordPress has, what, 36% of the web? Yoast has 14% of the web using Yoast. That's incredibly powerful. I would argue that if you're going to start writing schema markup, use their system of doing it. They're using a graph to make it much easier to write. Really smart people. Start with your site. Using structured data to provide accurate, pertinent, detailed information. To do that, you have your brand. Your website represents your brand, and you communicate the relationships you have with all the entities around your brand through your website. The first place Google comes to find out who you are and what you do, and I will say that again, who you are and what you do. It's a really nice way of thinking, what should I be communicating? It will come to your site, and then it will look outside for corroboration. And you need to place corroboration for all the information you've given it across the web. And if you're in local search like Greg Gifford, you'll know all about maps, name, address, phone number. It has to be consistent across all these different sources for Google to be confident it's understood. Now we have the question of what are the trusted sources, and this is where it gets really interesting for me at least, and where Elmer's bagsying of the slide deck pushed me to actually do some research here. We're finding more and more examples of the knowledge panel having sources for descriptions and links outside of Wikipedia. If you look at the top there, the little social sharing symbol, that means it's a knowledge panel, not an answer box. Here we have Enablon, who are a French company. They're pulling that description from some site I've never heard of. Stéphane Truffaut is a friend of mine in France. They're pulling his from his publisher site. He publishes books, and that's a very interesting book. If you want to get the knowledge graph, look for your springboard. His was a book, mine was music. What makes you notable? What makes you understandable? What makes you easy for Google to get a grip on your entity with a relationship to another entity and push you into that knowledge graph? This one, yet another source. This is an interesting one. Gennaro Cofano, who works for WordLift. Depending on the country you're in, if you're in America, it'll show you Google Books as the reference. If you're in France or Italy, it shows his employer as the reference. And if you notice, the sharing symbol is there, so this is a knowledge graph, a knowledge panel, sorry, not an answer box. So they're looking to the employer to describe the employee. And here I found one example of the site itself as the trusted source for an answer box, for the description and the link. So Google is trusting the source itself. Now answer boxes, Phil Slasky showed me this example, changes with the geolocation. He sent me one of the screenshots, I did the other in France. This one's really interesting, lots of extra information at the bottom for receipt bank. When you open it up, you've got these kind of mini questions and answers about them. So it's almost a knowledge graph and it's actually very rich. Then I decided, I've got 10,000 brands, I've been tracking them for 4 or 5 months, so I've got 2 million SERPs in a database, and I went through them and found that 99% of the descriptions and links in knowledge panels and answer boxes about companies for brand SERPs are from Wikipedia. There were 23,932 knowledge panels and answer boxes with the link that I got this figure from. So there are 232 others from 101 other domains. It's fairly UK-centric, but these are some of the examples. And if you take a screen capture, this is going to expand over the coming months, and I'm tracking this, so I will release this information as and when I find it. And for people, if you look at this list of sources that are providing information for the knowledge panel, very logical. Biography.com, Discogs, whatever it was, biographybase.com, all about people. People are very easy to get in the knowledge graph. So the takeaways: map out your map out your ecosystem, educate Google, and convince Google through corroboration that it's got it right. Closing thought, and this is my favourite topic, and I was talking to John earlier on about this. I'm the brand cert guy, he's the other brand cert guy, we're now best mates since yesterday. Your brand cert, I'm obsessed by brand cert. Search your brand name, and it will tell you what Google has understood about it very quickly. It will give you Google's opinion, but also, if you think about it, it's Google's opinion of the world's opinion of you. If your brand cert is rubbish, it means that Google thinks that people don't think very highly of you. But it also gives you a good evaluation of the balance of your digital strategy. If you don't have video boxes, you've got a bad video strategy. If you don't have Twitter boxes, your Twitter account isn't acting up. So you can actually look through this and identify areas where your digital strategy is weak and where it's strong, and also look at your competitors' brand serves to figure out what they're doing that you're not, where they're strong that you're not, where they are understood by Google and where you're not. Takeaway number 2, and this is my little closing thought, which I thought was kind of cute. Google's exam. If you track multiple relevant brand questions, including image search, and that's since yesterday morning with Dawn Anderson, and you track and measure them over time, you're actually setting Google an exam. It's a really good learner, as I've approved with my brand search, my personal brand search. Question is, are you a good teacher? Thank you.